Not all prayers are created equal. Some are spoken from fear, others from tradition. But once in a while, a prayer emerges that does more than comfort. It changes something, not outside you, but within. And when that inner shift happens, everything around you begins to respond. This is not fiction. It's not fantasy. It's the invisible system Joseph Murphy taught so clearly, the spiritual structure behind all material results. There is a kind of prayer that doesn't plead. It declares. It doesn't hope. It knows. It's not repeated out of superstition, but out of alignment. And this specific prayer, when listened to just once a day with awareness, begins to rewrite the patterns within your subconscious that have silently shaped your financial life for years. It doesn't matter your job, your history, or the state of your bank account. The moment you vibrate differently, money responds differently. This prayer was built on divine principles. Each line is a frequency. Each word is coded with the energy of truth, not fear. Murphy taught that your outer lack is often a mirror of inner rejection. You reject wealth not with your lips, but with your beliefs. And beliefs are housed in the subconscious. You cannot earn your way into overflow if your inner system is rejecting abundance. But you can speak your way into healing that system, one day, one prayer at a time. The power of this daily prayer isn't in the sound alone. It's in the surrender. You're not forcing results. You're receiving a new rhythm. And as that rhythm settles in, your perception begins to change. Opportunities you used to miss suddenly appear. Fear around money begins to fade. You start acting, thinking, spending, and attracting from a new level. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is not motivation. It's reprogramming. The prayer is not magic. It's mechanical. Spiritual law, when applied consistently, always works. And when you let this one prayer echo through your mind daily, you're doing more than listening. You're building, you're aligning, and you're inviting the kind of financial miracle that doesn't come from effort, but from energy. Your current financial situation is not your destiny. It's a reflection, not of your worth, not of your effort, but of your vibration. Joseph Murphy explained this with unsettling clarity. What you believe deep within, you live without. If you look at your bank account and speak from fear, you amplify lack. But if you speak from faith, regardless of what you see, you begin to create something new. And if this message is aligning with something inside you, take a moment to subscribe and stay connected to these teachings. This is only the beginning. The subconscious doesn't care about numbers. It only responds to dominant belief. You could have zero in the bank and still begin to attract more wealth than ever before, if you shift your inner narrative. The key is consistency, not just in thought, but in vibration. And vibration is shaped through repetition, emotion, and sound. That's why this prayer, when listened to once a day, begins to override years of silent fear. It speaks to the part of you that has accepted struggle as normal. It replaces the echo of scarcity with the resonance of abundance. The moment you stop letting your financial reality dictate your faith and start letting your faith dictate your financial reality, everything changes. Faith is not blind. It sees what is unseen. It speaks from completion. It calls what is not as though it were. And this is exactly what Murphy meant when he said, your subconscious mind accepts what you feel to be true. So, when you listen to this prayer and feel its truth, even before it shows up, you're not lying to yourself. You're reprogramming yourself. It is not what you have that creates your next season. It's what you believe. The bank may say one thing, But if your spirit says another, and your words match that spirit, then the shift is already in motion. Faith speaks louder, and the universe always listens. Provision isn't a mystery to the divine, it's a law. What appears as sudden blessing to us is often the result of unseen alignment. Joseph Murphy described this as the spiritual mechanics behind manifestation. Not luck, not divine favoritism, but spiritual cause and effect. When you consistently plant the right vibration, the right outcome eventually grows. And the daily prayer is your seed. This kind of prayer bypasses the rational mind. It speaks directly to the subconscious, which Joseph called the builder of your destiny. And the subconscious, once it receives a new blueprint, especially one repeated with emotional intensity, begins to organize your reality to match it. That's not fantasy. That's divine structure. The invisible becomes visible through vibration. This is how one prayer, spoken or listened to once a day, begins to unlock what felt unreachable. It's not the sound alone, it's the system it activates. The prayer affirms that God is the source, that money is not scarce, that abundance flows, that what you need already exists and is being drawn toward you. And the more your inner system accepts these statements as truth, the less resistance it carries. Provision then shifts from random to regular. Doors you didn't expect begin to open. Financial ideas come. Old debts resolve. Unexpected income arrives. But none of this starts on the outside. It begins with one daily moment of inner agreement, one act of spiritual congruence, one prayer that shifts the code. You don't need more force, you need more flow. This is spiritual mechanics at work. Speak the truth, feel the energy, repeat with belief, and the laws that govern provision will begin to work on your behalf, not because of who you are, but because of what you've finally aligned with. Everything moves, everything vibrates. That's not poetry, it's law. And Joseph Murphy made it clear, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are in vibration with. That's why someone can pray for wealth, yet remain surrounded by lack. Because their words speak one thing, but their inner vibration speaks another. Until those two match, nothing changes. But when you speak a prayer that's aligned with truth, and speak it consistently, it begins to tune your frequency. It turns your words into magnets. Every line of this financial prayer declares not only provision, but certainty. It affirms that supply is already flowing, not coming. It names God as the source, not the job, not the economy, not the past. And when that vibration takes hold in you, the law of attraction becomes automatic. Vibration is not just emotional, it's foundational. It's the signal your spirit sends into the field every moment. When that signal is shaped by fear, you pull in what matches it: delay, difficulty, disorder. But when the signal is shaped by clarity and expectation, you begin to attract not just money, but flow, ease, favor. You enter a different current, and your words are the primary way you control that signal. Not empty words, not forced positivity, but declarations made with awareness and feeling. This is why listening to this prayer daily works. You're not just hearing, you're harmonizing. Your inner and outer life begin to speak the same language, and the universe, which always mirrors you, begins to send a new reflection. Think of it this way: you are a magnet, not a beggar, and your prayer is the calibration tool. Every time you listen, every time you agree, every time you release fear, and step into the frequency of abundance, you shift the magnetic field around you. And what once felt far begins to be drawn near, not through effort, but through energy. There is a sacred threshold between hope and expectation. Hope waits. Expectation welcomes. Joseph Murphy was unshakable on this point. You receive not according to your wishes, but according to your faith. And true faith always carries expectation. Not the nervous kind that wonders if God might bless you, but the calm kind that knows the blessing is already in motion. Heaven doesn't move because of need. It moves in response to alignment. And expectation is the highest form of alignment. It says, I already agree with what's on the way. That's why the daily prayer works, not just because it's said, but because it gradually teaches your heart to expect. Line by line, it pulls you from desperation into agreement. God is the source of my supply. That isn't a request, it's a reality. One you begin to feel more each day as you speak or hear those words. And the moment you move from wishing they were true to knowing they are true, the spiritual atmosphere around you responds. Opportunities arise. Tension dissolves. Provision flows not from striving, but from surrender. Expectation creates openness, and openness is the landing strip of miracles. When your mind and body are relaxed into trust, you're no longer blocking the flow with fear. You're no longer wrestling with doubt. You're positioned, available. This is the moment heaven looks for. Not when you're shouting the loudest, but when your vibration finally agrees with the answer. So let this prayer do more than comfort. Let it train your expectation. Let it rewrite your inner response to money, to blessing, to divine favor. Because once expectation takes root, the delay ends. Not always visibly at first, but spiritually, decisively. That's when heaven responds. Not later, not eventually, but now. You were never meant to earn miracles. That belief alone blocks more abundance than any lack of action ever could. Joseph Murphy was clear. Grace is not a reward. It's a law. And spiritual laws are not triggered by merit, but by alignment. This is the great shift, moving from performance to presence, from trying to deserve to simply agreeing with what already exists. The financial miracle you're seeking doesn't require more effort. It requires less resistance. You're not here to prove yourself worthy. You're here to come into resonance with what's already true. And this is exactly what the daily prayer does. It bypasses the mind that's busy trying to earn and speaks directly to the part of you that already knows. The part of you that remembers abundance is not earned, it's inherited. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. That line alone breaks centuries of conditioning. It invites you to release the idea that you must chase, strive, hustle without rest, and it replaces it with the vibration of trust, of magnetism, of enough. And as you repeat it, day after day, that inner shift begins to reflect outward, in timing, in supply, in favor. You begin to act from confidence, not compensation. You stop manipulating outcomes and start magnetizing them. People feel the difference. Circumstances feel the difference. Because your energy no longer says, I need. It says, I already carry what I seek. And that signal rewrites everything. This is the deeper truth behind Joseph Murphy's message. You don't pray to get God's attention. You pray to tune your own. You don't align because you're lacking. You align because it's how the blessing flows freely, without guilt, without delay, without debt. Just flow. And once you're in that flow, you're no longer earning. You're receiving. Gratitude is not just a response, it's a multiplier. In the spiritual dimension, what you thank God for expands. Joseph Murphy often said that gratitude was one of the highest vibrations the mind could hold. Not because it's polite, but because it declares, "I already have." And when the subconscious hears that declaration, it begins to shape reality around it. This is why the daily prayer ends in gratitude, not as a closing ritual, but as a magnetic force. I give thanks now because I already receive. These words rewire your entire energetic posture. You are no longer waiting. You are welcoming. You are no longer doubting. You are anchoring. Gratitude marks the moment where the seed of belief becomes a living tree of reality. And here's the mystery. You don't need to see change before you express thanks. You express thanks so that you begin to see change. Gratitude is what tells the universe, "I trust the invisible." And that trust activates movement. It invites acceleration. It moves you from a mindset of scarcity to one of sufficiency, and then to one of overflow. Gratitude also heals the fear of loss. When you live in appreciation for what's already flowing, you stop grasping. You stop contracting. You remain open. And open hands are hands that receive. This inner posture of thanks is not passive. It is powerful. It shifts your chemistry, your choices, your conversations. Everything begins to bend toward increase. So let gratitude be more than an emotion. Let it be your strategy. Let it be the energy you carry as you declare this prayer each day. Because what you carry with thanks, you carry with power. And what you thank God for in advance, you will soon witness in full. You were not created to survive. You were designed to reflect overflow, not just financially, but vibrationally. Joseph Murphy didn't teach shortcuts. He taught spiritual laws. And one of the most powerful is this: when your inner world aligns with divine truth, the outer world must respond. It may take time, it may stretch you, but it always answers. And that is why this prayer matters. When you speak it, or simply listen to it daily, you are not begging. You are building. You are not asking for something outside of you. You are awakening what already lives inside. The mindset, the vibration, the favor, the abundance, all of it is already encoded in your spiritual DNA. The prayer is how you unlock it. So now, let the words become yours. Say them, feel them, let them speak louder than fear. Let them speak over your past, over your limitations, over your logic. Because this prayer is not a formula, it's a frequency, one that moves you from scarcity into flow, from doubt into certainty, from barely enough to more than enough. God is the source of my supply. I know it, I feel it, and I trust it. Infinite riches are flowing to me freely, endlessly, and constantly. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I give thanks now because I already receive. I align with abundance. I release fear, and I accept prosperity as my divine right. It is done. You are no longer a seeker of miracles. You are a carrier of them. And now, the overflow begins.